It is 1974. The war has been over for nearly 30 years. Men who fought in it have grandchildren now. The world has moved on, rebuilt, forgotten, forgiven. But deep in the jungle of a small Philippine island, a man named Hiroo Onoda is still fighting. He is not confused. He is not crazy. He is doing exactly what he was trained to do. And that is what makes this story so strange. Hiroo Onoda was born in 1922 in Japan. He was not a simple soldier. He was trained as an intelligence officer, a specialist in guerrilla warfare. In 1944, he was sent to Lubang Island in the Philippines with one mission and one order. Hold the island, resist the enemy, do not surrender, do not take your own life, we will come back for you. His commanding officer, Major Yoshimi Taniguchi, said those words directly to him. So Onoda waited. The war ended in August 1945. Japan surrendered. Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Emperor Hirohito's voice crackling over the radio telling a stunned nation it was over. Soldiers across Asia laid down their weapons. They went home. They wept. They tried to forget. But Onoda never heard the order to stop. Leaflets were dropped over the jungle. Newspapers were thrown from planes. They said the war was over. Onoda read them and decided they were Allied propaganda, enemy tricks designed to lure loyal soldiers out of hiding. His training told him to trust nothing the enemy gives you, so he trusted nothing. His small unit shrank over the years. One by one, his comrades died or gave themselves up. By the 1950s, only Onoda remained. Still patrolling, still sabotaging, still fighting a war that existed only inside his mind and the dense green walls of the jungle around him. The Philippine government sent search parties. They posted notices on trees. They broadcast radio messages. His own family recorded personal appeals that were played over loudspeakers at the edge of the jungle. His father's voice, his brother's voice, calling his name. Onoda heard them. He thought they were recordings made under duress, fabricated, false. The historian Toshiyuki Tanaka, who later documented Onoda's story, described it as one of the most extreme examples of psychological conditioning ever recorded outside of a laboratory. Onoda had been so thoroughly trained to distrust surrender propaganda that no amount of external evidence could override it. His identity, his purpose, his entire reason for being had fused completely with his mission. He was not holding the island for Japan anymore. He was holding the island because that was who he was. Decades passed, the Philippines developed around him, roads were built, cities grew, children were born who had never known war. And still, in the jungle, a lean and weathered man in a rotting uniform moved silently between the trees, sharpening his blade, maintaining his rifle, waiting for orders that had already come and gone 30 years ago. Local people occasionally encountered him. Some were injured, some were killed. Philippine police mounted hunts. None succeeded. Onoda was too well trained, too disciplined, too deeply embedded in the terrain he had memorized over 3 decades. Then, in 1974, a young Japanese adventurer named Norio Suzuki decided to go looking for him, not because he was sent, not because of duty, out of pure curiosity. He walked into the jungle and found Onoda within 4 days. They talked. Onoda explained calmly that he was still following his orders. Suzuki returned to Japan and reported what he had found. The response was immediate. Major Yoshimi Taniguchi, now a retired bookseller in his 70s, was flown to Lubang Island. He put on his old military uniform. He walked into the jungle. He found Hiroo Onoda and he delivered the order in person, face to face. The war is over. Your mission is complete. You are relieved of duty. Onoda stood at attention. He removed his cap. He laid his rifle on the ground. His ammunition, his hand grenades, his dagger, everything placed carefully with precision in a neat row. He had conducted approximately 100 guerrilla operations in those 30 years. He had survived by eating coconuts, bananas, and whatever he could catch. He had kept meticulous field journals. His rifle still worked perfectly. Psychologist Lawrence Calhoun, whose research on post-traumatic growth has been applied to cases like Onoda's, noted that what Onoda displayed was not delusion in the clinical sense. He was entirely rational within the framework of his beliefs. His information was wrong. His framework was sealed. But inside that sealed world, every decision he made was completely logical. That is the part that stays with you. Because Onoda was not broken, he was loyal, fanatically, catastrophically loyal to a reality that had dissolved around him without his knowledge. The war he fought was real to him every single morning for 30 years. The enemy he watched for was real. The mission was real. When he finally emerged from the jungle, he was 52 years old. He had entered it at 22. An entire adult life spent inside a war that was not happening. The Philippine government, in an act of extraordinary grace, pardoned him for the deaths that had occurred during his jungle campaign. He was received in Japan as a complicated figure, a hero to some, a ghost to others, a man who had given everything to a cause that had already ended before he gave most of it. He moved to Brazil for a time, unable to fully reintegrate into a Japan he no longer recognized. He later returned, started a nature school for young people, and lived until 2014. He died at 91. In one of his last interviews, Onoda was asked whether he regretted the 30 years. He paused for a long moment. Then he said that he did not regret following his orders. What he regretted was that no one had come to relieve him sooner. He had been waiting. And tonight, somewhere in your own life, there is a war you are still fighting, a belief you are still defending, a position you have held so long it has become part of your identity. You have read the leaflets, you have heard the voices, but your training tells you not to trust them. The question Hiroo Onoda asks you across 50 years of jungle silence is this: what if the war ended and nobody told you?